So, welcome to my first podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm super nervous. So, this is our first time running through it. I guess we'll figure out this Instagram thing later so we don't always have to go live.
Right.
But yeah, we're going to be doing it on where like it's cooking and stuff. So people can pull up where we're in the kitchen on like Sunday. But this is an introduction, so I wanted to like, I don't know, just kind of like go over why I'm doing it. And I wanted to like have you on for my first guest for a few reasons. One, I want to invite you as much as you want to come on and help me with the cooking session of it, you know, if you would like to. Because we already know that you're an amazing cook.
So and, I've been told.
Did you say something?
I say, so I have been told. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just turning my thing up as loud as it'll go. Corey, I need chargers for the phone.
I'm sorry, I can't get to my microphone.
It's okay. I can hear you enough, I think. So I pre-recorded you before I left your house the other day, making your like amazing gravy. And it's like homemade and it's like the best gravy. So I just want to let you know, like I'll be hopefully adding that to the segment as I edit it or whatever.
Okay.
Can you see all this stuff in the camera? Yeah. So cool. Let's get to it. So I wanted to start this podcast because, as you know, I kind of went through a struggle with mental health, and I definitely want to get like more aware, and I wanted to start a conversation. And it's not just a regular conversation. It'll be like really cool, and we'll talk about like different things. But I wanted to have the first conversation with you because as a mother, it had to been like hard watching me go through that. And I wanted to like get your opinion. And then we had a great conversation the other day. And I kind of wanted to touch bases on that. And I also wanted to do it because I think a lot of people in our generation don't necessarily know, like your generation didn't talk as much to us. So we have like a misperception of like you guys being so strong, like you raised 13 children. And, you know, like I didn't never really see you like break or anything, but to talk to you through my experience, you know, you kind of let me in on it and you let me know that, you know, you definitely have moments and, you know, there were things that you definitely did to help to ease the frustration of it all. So, yeah. So I guess a little bit like, as you know, like we grew up like in San Diego. You grew up in Memphis. So like the environment was like, you know, harsh. And then like the way we grew up and then with all boys, mostly in our family, you kind of only raising a few girls. I mean, as a mother in itself, having all those boys, like, I just wanted you to like, and you stuck with us. Like, you still have everyone's back. And I think it's really important for other mothers to know that it's okay to stick with their children, because I think a lot of mothers give up on them, you know? So, yeah, I was thinking I need to listen to something to have this conversation. It already making me emotional because it was such a hard journey. But I'm super excited that I'm so like different these days, and going through the journey made me such a better person, able to think differently and to feel differently and to kind of reteach myself, to re-believe in myself, and to, get it right this time. Like, I messed it all up, that, and I lost it all. So to get it right this time is so important. So if I can help other people before they get to their 911, where they're so overwhelmed and so stressed out that they can't even grasp what's going on around them, or they just don't have the know-how, or they're not like, we're not really taught to ask for help or anything like that. So that's like why it's really important for me to have this conversation, and to have it with you, I think is important, because it will help to bridge the gap, you know? Like, so yeah. So I wrote a few questions, and let's see.
Okay, let me just start by saying, to see you here today, the woman that you have become, and to see your emotions, which growing up you suppressed a lot, and to see you be able to deal with emotion, it's wonderful. And never think that emotions will make you weak or whatever. Showing your emotion really makes you strong. It takes a strong person to be real with themselves. So I just want to
Thank you.
say that on the outset.
Yeah. So how did you do it all these years? I mean, 13 children, you're from Memphis. You grew up in a big family also. Like, what allowed you to kind of push through all these years?
Well, if I were to look back at my childhood, which I have been doing recently, to answer some of the questions like, who am I? I am going through that journey. Why am I here? Type thing. And so I had to look back to see where I came from, to see where I want to go, to see where I am. And when I look back at my childhood, I had a really fantastic childhood. I had a loving mother. I had a dysfunctional father. In these days, you guys would call him an alcoholic. In those
Yeah.
days, he was just called drunk. So, but he was loving and he was kind. So when I look back at my childhood, I wouldn't change a thing really. I came from a five sibling group. I was the youngest in the group. I had one brother left. And we have always been very, very close as a family. My one regret in life is that you guys didn't get to really know and love the family, because I took you away. Well, that was before you were born. I moved to California because I
But
was.
I think, like, I'm gonna interrupt you just for a little bit, not to interrupt you. But I don't think that should be a regret, because God has, what's for you. So it's like, what if these people were in our lives and then our lives turned out completely different? So the journey that you took us on, yeah, maybe would have been different with other people in our lives. But I have to say, we had an amazing childhood growing up. You were an amazing mother. We definitely had our difficulties and we went through our things. And I definitely saw you go through with the boys. big time. But
Yes,
we were cool until later. And I
right.
think that more so had to do with me coming to you, because I think there were some things that I didn't open up to you about, honestly, and like let you know how I felt about certain things. But recently, in trying to do that, you definitely told me like there's no boundaries. There's no boundaries, and so I don't think me and you will ever have that conversation. And one thing I think is good about therapy and getting therapy is that one of the things that you have to learn is that you're the one that got therapy. And that's like one of the things that I talk about also, because I feel like people don't really talk about all the transitions and all the different steps to therapy. Like they talk about therapy and then that's it. But it's really so much more. It's like the build up to get to the therapy and then going through the therapy and allowing the help and accepting the help, transitioning back into the world. And like I said, you're the only one that had the therapy. So it's kind of like, how do you deal with people? And then it's like they haven't gone through the steps as you've changed, they haven't changed. So one of the good things that my therapist, we talked about after it was kind of like the end of my session was kind of like, I was kind of going back to her and telling her how I was still triggered a little bit and I wasn't perfect. I feel like, I'm learning and growing, but I'm definitely still having um, like moments and things of that nature. And she said to me, like, do you feel it necessary for people, like, to prove yourself to people? Like, do you feel it now to go back to people because you want them to see who you are now? And I had to think about it for a second. I was like, I did up until you said it, and now I don't feel like I need to prove myself to people because it's kind of like your journey is your journey and what God has for you, like, so it's kind of like in going through this, you're going to lose people, you're going to lose things, but it's kind of like you want to come out better in the end and hope the people that stay by your side truly loves you and accepts all of you. And those are the people you really want in your life. So it kind of like balances it out, you know?
Yeah, and it is. It's a weeding out process, and when you go through therapy, and I don't know if I ever told you this before or not, but I've gone through therapy. Um, and it is a journey. So I understand where you are. I'm so happy that you were able to make that decision to go, that you recognize that you had a problem and you dealt with it. And I think a lot of people, because of the stigma that's attached to therapy, do not really reach out because they're afraid. Am I going to be accepted? Are people going to label me as crazy?
Yeah.
So they don't.
Well, they're already painting you as that. I mean, how many people call me crazy and all kinds of things. So you're already getting called crazy. You already, acting out and you're already doing these things, You used
And,
to
and
joke
it's
with me
okay.
in the process saying like my social worker and like this, like that. So, I mean, you're already showing people a side of you that not necessarily is you, but it kind of feels good a little bit to let go, you know? Because one thing that got you there was how people perceive you and how you're allowing people to kind of, like dictate, like your mind, like the manipulation with the men and like all of these other things. You were, yeah, my mind just, but yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay to be called crazy. My nickname growing up. Everybody called me Jean, but you know what was in front of it? It was Crazy Jean. So I grew up with
yeah,
the stigma of Crazy Jean, and that's okay because it made me it put me in a place, but it put me in a place that I could come out of. It put me in a place probably that wasn't very good, but it put me in a place where I didn't care. I didn't care what
Yeah.
they did. I didn't care, So when they would address me as Crazy Jean, I would say, yeah, what? Oh, I admit it. Yeah, I'm different. So what? What's wrong with you guys? So that's the way I approach the world. So I understand. I understand. So, but so many people never get to that point,
Yeah.
always to please the other person or to keep up with the Joneses or whatever. But you don't get to know yourself, until truly you reach that point in life and you look in that mirror and say, who am I? Why am
Yeah.
I doing this? What's wrong with me? And then when you can begin to talk and answer those questions for yourself, is when you really begin to get help, you know. And so again, I'm very proud of you for doing that.
Thank you. And I'm proud of you also because you are also helping people, but in another way. You became a pastor
Yes.
and you have a church. And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, actually, my pastorship was quite an accident. I was Mother's Day 2014, and I shouldn't say this in public, but we were going to the funeral home. I mean, to the cemetery to visit our loved ones, our deceased loved ones, and I really didn't want to go. I wanted to go to church, and I had things planned at church, and I really didn't want to go, but I did. I went, and this is the first time in all those years. My mom passed away in 1983, and so that's the first time in all those years I've gone back to the cemetery because I convinced myself, and I still believe that my mother wasn't there. She visited me after she passed away. And so I knew that she was okay. So I really didn't want to go. And so once we were there, we visited everybody, and I have a lot of family members there. So we visited everyone, and as we were getting ready to leave, we were at my sister's and brother. They were buried side by side, and we began to pray, the departing prayer. And as we prayed, everybody prayed, and then I prayed. And I said, I don't know where it came from, but it just came out. And I said, if anybody here don't know the Lord and want to be saved, God is here. He's waiting on you. And much to my surprise, two people in the group said, I want to be saved. And then I prayed the prayer for them. And then we began to walk away. And I told them, get in a good Bible believing church, and read your Bible. And I'm walking away, and I turned around and I haphazardly said, if you want me to teach you Bible study, I'm willing to do that. If you guys want me to show you the Bible. And they said they did. And so I said, okay. So then we started meeting at my house for Bible study. And from that, it led into a full-fledged ministry and a church. So we were born in a cemetery. Not many churches can say that they they were founded in a cemetery. But we had two converts, and then, as you know, a few years later, we were able to baptize those people. And thank you and your daughter. And what did we have? About 9 family members to be baptized on that day, and they accept the Lord. So it's been a journey. It's been an unexpected journey, but the Lord really prepared me for it when I went back to school and got my PhD, and had no idea this is where he was leading me. So he'll lead you where he wants you to go. You just have to be faithful and take those hard knocks.
Yeah. Like I can definitely say that this is really hard for me because I'm so shy. So to put my life out there to the world is definitely a huge, but I felt like this was bigger than me. Like
Yeah,
after going my journey, I kept asking myself, like, why is all this happening to me? Like, why me? Why me? Like, I'm such a good person. Why do people feel a need to attack me or to, treat me a certain way or put me in a box, thinking that I'm something, maybe because of my looks or whatever, but everyone knows, I mean, don't know, but no one knows your story for real. Like you're on the outside looking in, and then like people try to like tell you who you are. And so yeah, when it was like when I was going through my journey, one of the things that I kept noticing was like the more that I talked to people is the more they talked to me. And the more that I opened up and told people, like, as you know, when like Corey got sick,
And it's okay.
got sick, when she got type 1 diabetes,
You got her
this
diagnosis.
guy got her.
It's okay.
It still hurts me because it's like you worry about them every day. It never gets like old. You're always worried about her number. She's gonna be okay. But like the more I talked about that, at first I didn't open up at all. I kind of kept everything in because I just didn't want people to judge her. Like saying like, I don't know, she's her, I don't know, food or, you know, I just didn't want. And then like I wanted her, she was older. She was like, you know, high school, senior in high school. So I wanted her to be able to choose her own journey and her path and figure out if she was okay telling people. At first, I was more so the one that like wanted her to like go to the bathroom and doing it, her numbers and stuff like that, to give her privacy and things of that nature. And then she got so strong and was like, do it at the table. And, you know, she's so open with it and wanted to share her story with other people. So that's the reason I wanted to do this, like diabetes awareness. Like there were so many people, like her teachers and stuff, that didn't realize what was going on. And they would like not let her go to the, like leave to like check her numbers. Like I would have to call up there. They tried to fail her. Like a lot of people like didn't like understand it or even know. I don't think that they read the, well, I have a friend, a teacher, and he said they don't read it. They don't read the medical. They don't know who in their class have who and what. They said it's too much. And I said, well, why can't you just get a short form that says the name of the student and the problem? Like, why do you need a long medical list? Even if they do provide you with that, so you know that their medical treatment and stuff. What about just a short form that says the name of the student and what they have? Because if that student passes out in your class or something because you're being mean, like that's crazy. So yeah, the more that I opened up about my journey and about the things that I went through, like I remember like talking to my friend and I was telling him like how I wake up in the middle of the night crying, how I had like went through so much hurt and pain. And he was like, he's done the same thing too, which I knew that he would wake up in the morning because, you know, we gotta live in the same complex and we'll be going through stuff together. So, you know, we'll wake up very early in the morning and go down, you know, he'll be washing his car, like doing something like that. And we'll start to chill and like, you know, like it was a very early morning. We were both up stressed, but I didn't know that like he woke up like crying at night or anything. Like I had got so far gone from men and all the experiences that I went through that it was really hard for me to even look at man in a certain way. So I thought it would be really cool, maybe not this, to like do a little game, because like we grew up with so many men and people have like these perceptions of them, but it's so but if you tell the story of your boys now
Well, we don't want to bore you.
we would know that, you know, these perceptions are not all the way 100. So not right now, but a little bit later. But anyway, I was saying that this led me up to like doing this conversation and this blog because I don't feel like people have this. I don't feel like they have somewhere to go to just let loose. I don't feel like, and I feel like the people that are talking about it, I'm not downplaying anyone's anxiety or anything like that, but you're rich and you're like, you know, like Charlemagne the God or something, like, you know, I don't know, you don't know who that is, but it's like, you have anxiety about sending your kid to a private rich school. You know what I mean? Like, what is your anxiety about it getting shot up? I mean, we had the same anxiety about the school getting shot up, but we were literally getting our school shot up, which is so crazy. You said that you didn't know that our schools were getting shot up so much, but in San Diego, like here, it's news. In San Diego, it's not news. You know what I mean? Like, it happens all the time. So it's like when I came out here, even walking to the car, like I was like, oh my God, they get to walk to their car every day, like after every event. But of course, we wasn't really telling you that, you know, like I remember one day you pulled up eating chicken coming to get us from the party. And we're like, what are you doing? You're like, what? We're like, they're shooting out here. We told you to wait at the 7-Eleven. What are you doing coming over here? You were like, what? We were like, mama.
There's so much you guys do.
But all of that, you know, all of that, and then like the men and the manipulation and growing up, and you know my story with that, and you know, we'll get into that more later. But it's kind of like, yeah, God brought me, I don't know, you know, going through all of that. I think that he wanted me to tell my story for women like us, for women that it's hard. We grew up in a hard environment. We grew up not learning how to communicate. We lose so much because we're angry and we're hurt. And I'm not anymore, but I was, and I still have my moments. Like the other day I called you because, again, I don't know why people feel a need to attack me, but I went on vacation, you know, our little trip every year. And the girl went into, I'm trying to F her man and all of this. And then the other girl was like, you know, just started with me for no reason about saying miss, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that in front of someone's name. So it's kind of like, you're attacking me for what, you know? So I called you after that because prior to that, a week before, I was chilling and I was hanging out and we're all having a debate or whatever. And the guy felt a need to call me a lunatic, you know, and I get it. Hurt people want to hurt other people, or they feel like they're being funny. And I get, like, maybe she was having a bad day. She had a hard trip getting there. And I know that I was all about law and the one she doesn't really like. So it's kind of like, attack India for what? But everyone that really knows me knows I have a really bad temper. So when people attack me, if I can't physically attack back, because I grew up with all boys, you know, as you know, and you know that they didn't really communicate with me. They more so handled me, you know? So it caused me growing up to want to win. Well, no, I was actually fine for a long time until I got to the point where I was done. I was done people pushing me around. I was done with them telling me who I was. I was done being pushed around at work. I was done with I was done with men treating me a certain way. I was just completely done. So, yeah. So yeah, being attacked, I called you the other day and we were having the conversation about like why this happens or whatever. And you had said some interesting points, and I just kind of wanted you to kind of reiterate on our conversation if you remember it at all.
Well, I'll tell you this, I don't remember. Because a lot of times when I'm speaking under the unction of the Holy Spirit, and he's giving me what to say. And a lot of times when you're under that divine inspiration, you don't remember because God is speaking to you, to that person for that moment. So I don't really remember. And the first time I was told that by a prophet, I didn't understand it, but now I understand it because it was for you. That message was for you. So, and I can remember most of it. I know I told you some of my brokenness and some of my dark places in life. And there have been many. And I was surprised to learn that you guys had never seen me cry. I didn't know that. As much as I cried and beat a pillow and just did crazy things running through the house. This one time I can remember I only had boys, I had 4 sons. And I was just so stressed out. And I started running through the house, just screaming, just screaming. I cried to the top of my voice, just screaming, just hitting and knocking over, just screaming. And I looked around and I had four little boys walking behind me screaming. They were running, they were screaming. They thought it was a fun game. So when I looked around and saw them, that got rid of all that. And now when I'm stressed, I can go back to that moment. I can go back and I can see them, those little stair steps.
Come here for a second, please. Go ahead, Mama.
And I can see them, that little stair step of them, walking and screaming. And I mean, they were really screaming. They were into this thing. So yeah. So, we all deal with stress in different ways. I was surprised when you told me you never seen me cry before, as much as I cried. So yeah, and then Dwayne said something similar the other day. I'm like, for real? But he did tell me that he would hear me pray in the middle of the night, and when we would be going through hard times, and he would say, and I would hear you say, Lord, how am I going to feed all these children? You got to put food on the table. He would tell me my prayers, and he said he would just lay there sometime and listen to me, and he wanted to help. And of course, he was a child and couldn't. That meant a lot to me. But he said the same thing. I never saw you stress. I never saw you cry. I saw you mean. I saw you crazy. I never really saw the real emotion. I'm like, really? So
yeah, I don't think you recognized it, but I think that I talked to you all the sign about your sign and all that, and I don't think you ever realized like you were a Leo and how you raised all fire signs, and they were all kind of had how you were able to kind of build a small little army. And then here I come, this emotional Pisces. I was like, I must have drove y'all crazy. But I do remember you crying one time. And that one time actually shaped how I treated you. And I don't know if I ever told you, but do you remember when we were in Memphis? And I don't know if we were living there because we wasn't there long. And the boys, they took their bikes and they ran through the corner store or something, and they stole like
chips and yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
And I was young. I couldn't have been, I don't know, I was a baby. Like I couldn't have been no more than 4 or 5.
Mom passed when you were 5, so and we left. So you were probably 4 or 5.
Yeah. And I remember like you were crying in the middle of the night, and I ran up to you and I said, Mama, what's wrong? And I said, don't be sad or something. And you were like, your brothers or something. You didn't really explain to me, but you were like something about your brothers. And I made you a promise right then and there. And I go, I'll never make you cry or hurt you like that. Do you remember that?
I do, now that you said it, and you're bringing tears to my eyes. Yeah, I do.
And that has kind of shaped my personality because I just never wanted to bring harm or, I never wanted to see you cry. I know I have made you cry over the last couple of years, going through what I've gone through. And I'm getting it back with Corey now. So.
Yeah, that payback is not easy. So.
But I think people take that kindness and want to use it for weakness. But one thing you know about me growing up, I'm not weak at all. And I'm very strong. But I hide it a lot because I don't know. I mean, I guess I was always the quiet one, and I grew up in a big family with a lot of boys and stuff. So it was hard to get a point across, I guess. So I guess I just stopped trying. And I realized I was a lot smarter, quieter, and I learned more, and I was able to see more, being quiet as opposed to always having a say or whatever. But it didn't help
Well, you always
in.
ran the house. Your brothers just doted on you, and you were always fighting back because you didn't want that, but you were their baby sister, and everybody just doted and idolized you. So you got away with murder with them. And
Yeah, in
so,
front of your face, behind your back, no.
well, I had to tell them because they were trying to make you a boy. They were going to make sure that you never let a man treat you. And this is what they told me. They were never going to let them make sure that you were strong enough to never let a man treat you the way they treated women. And so, and I think that was their issue. They knew they were out there. Anyway, that's another conversation a different day. But yeah.
No, actually, that conversation is very important because I was listening to TD Jakes the other day, and he was saying that how sometimes it's not you're the seed, but your soil. And sometimes you have to stop blaming God and blame your soil. But that's okay. My soil was okay. I actually enjoyed growing up with my brothers and all of that. But the one thing that they thought that they were doing was creating this strong woman. Ooh, Amor, this computer went out. All the batteries are going dead. The one thing that they thought that they were doing was creating like this strong woman, and they did. They did a good job of creating a strong woman. But what they didn't realize that they were doing was putting insecurities in me. They were like, I wasn't okay growing up sometimes, like being, because I was always told, no, you can't be sexy. No, you can't, you know what I mean? No, you can't wear that lipstick. No, so it made, for a long time, it took a while for me to find my womanness. You know what I'm saying? I had grew up like a tomboy, and still today, like I'll throw some sweats, and my man be like, "You need to go." I'll be like, "Oh, I don't feel like getting dressed," But I think that's very important because it's kind of like they shaped me without knowing that they did. And Dwayne, I hated that he went. Well, I guess I don't know. People they want to go on the show, so they don't mind when they name. They can't wait to tell their stories. But
That's gonna be lies.
oh we'll get into that. But Dwayne, he'd be on his thing and he'd be like, "She's my best work ever." And I hate when he says that because they all have women and like they're cool and like all of this. And here I go, like still not married, like still, and it's kind of like, yeah, you did a good job of making me not know how to accept the things as a woman, but they didn't see that. They saw it as we grew up in this strong neighborhood, we grew up in this gangster environment, and if she's gonna survive it, and if she's not gonna get, attacked in certain ways, or they don't want to have to go out and hurt people or things of that nature, then she needs to act a certain way. And of course, me being the youngest, not always wanting to fight, I'm smarter, I'll just go somewhere else or like do something else. But they shaped me. And it was hard after going through some experiences older. Like before, it didn't bother me. It was kind of like, that's how I grew up, and that's what that is, and it's no big deal. Like it is what it is. You feel me? Like that's how we grew up. But the more experiences you go through, and then you start being treated a certain way by men, and you're kind of like, okay, now you start doing the work, when you're trying to figure out why these things happening. Is it me? Is it them? Am I really crazy? Like they say, you know what I'm saying? Like everything that, so it's kind of like, and then you figure out, well, damn, that way that I grew up wasn't necessarily okay. Like that way that them teaching me, them, like Dwayne's always coming, like, if a man cheat on you, leave. And that's right. You're supposed to make boundaries and respect for yourself and things of that nature. But they didn't leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like they have their women and they taught me something that they didn't necessarily follow. And it's kind of like, well, I get what you're saying, leave, but at the same time, like, doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, aren't you supposed to stick in there? And aren't you supposed to, no one's supposed to disrespect you or anything like that. But what about the other things that you didn't teach me after that leave? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
you
how to
only gave me
survive
like a
after.
one worder.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, now that I'm older, I want a husband, I want a family, you know, I pushed it all away. Like, I think I definitely know that God definitely, I think, like I talked to you about this the other day, like the last guy that I was dating, you know, we'll just call him Shoes. And like, he would tell me all the time, like, you're okay to be with me, like, you're okay, you know, like, and he would try to get me, like, but at the same time, like, he wasn't necessarily like being supportive, and he get upset, you know, because he grew, you know, we definitely had like a similar story, like he lost his brother to alcohol, like, you know, so God definitely sent me someone who could understand my pain and my journey. And he has sent me so many signs, like my brother's birthday, I didn't know they were like born on the same date, like he sent them to me like on my birthday, like as a gift, I don't know, you know. And I was telling you, like, one day that I was talking to him, and I don't talk about this often because people think that you're crazy, and I never really heard God's voice before. So that's, you know, for tell people like, oh, God talked to you or whatever. But and it's so weird now because I'm gonna go back to it. It's like I have the question now, like, well, if you didn't listen to God when He told you something, does that mean? And a lot of people like you're doomed and it's not gonna get the blessings, or God? I've been hearing both. You're either doomed, you're not gonna get the lessons, and you're not gonna get the abundance, or that God, you know, you're like I've been looking at him like, you know, like I look at you and it's like, you forgave me, you know, we're here, we're talking, you know, so let's say if, you know, God is like your parent, then, you know, he is going to give you another chance, especially when he see that you did the work and like you're a better person. Like, why wouldn't he want the best and the happiness for you, even if he did speak to you and you didn't? But anyways, that's a whole nother conversation that we'll have one day and get your opinion on that one. But I was speaking to him one day, and me and Corey was in the kitchen, and I was telling you how, like, she was cooking or something, and I don't know, we were just fumbling around the kitchen, and I was on the phone with him, and it's like we first kind of met, probably not even a month, but it was so weird. When we first met, I knew, like, I don't know, it was just something. Like, I was looking for him before I knew who he was, but I didn't even know who I was looking for. You know what I'm saying? It was just like he came into my bar one day, and then all of a sudden I'm like always looking for this guy, but I don't really know what he looks like. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Anything. I just know that like I got this feeling from him, and then like he was cute, and then like I just didn't know. But anyway, we started talking. I don't know how we got together. Well, he got my number or whatever. So like we're in the kitchen, and Corey, like, she's doing stuff, I'm doing stuff. And he's telling me how he's here. Hold on, this thing is reloading. He's telling me and I know this is so much to talk about in the first session, but this is kind of why we're doing this, you know, to like let people know, like, and of course it's going to be edited and all that, but it's been a pretty good conversation, and I'm not going to keep you on too much longer because it won't be our first conversation, and hopefully you'll be giving us some cooking. I'm just waiting for this thing to load up real quick, and I'm gonna finish my story. Don't lose our train of thought.
I don't know how much time we had on Zoom today. That's what I was trying to check.
But I think that you're such an inspiration while we're waiting, you know, to me, to other people, to women, to parents. And I just want you to know that. Sometimes I hear you say that, like, oh, you wasn't the best mom or whatever. You're crazy. You're like the best anything that anyone can ask for. And I thank God that he sent me you. And I pray that I'm born to you every lifetime.
Well, you are definitely an answer to a prayer, and I just thank God for you for blessing me with you. And Corey, it's just it's an amazing journey. Life is an amazing journey, and we have to just roll with the punches. And now that you are learning to do that, I think your life, I know your life is getting better. It's going to continue to get better, good, better, and best. And
Yeah.
you're on the right journey. You have the Lord in your life, and you're recognizing that you're not perfect and you don't have to be. I recognize that, you know, and in me. And so we do the best that we can. And I want to go back to the voice of the Lord when he spoke to you and you said you didn't obey. And I know we're waiting on something.
Yeah. So I was telling you,
Are we ready for that part?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I was saying, like I don't tell this, I tell it now a little bit, because it's part of my testimony, but it's really hard. You don't want people to think you're crazy or whatever, but God has never spoken to me much. And I think he did twice. Once when I was really, 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 really like in a really dark place, like dark at night, and an angel or a bird appeared on my refrigerator, and I had to look again because I was like, wait, So I tried to look from every angle to see if it would happen again, and I never ever seen it again. So I'm pretty sure that was telling me to hold on. Okay, and then the other time he spoke to me, and he may have before, like he sends me messages. If I ask for something or something like that, or I'm asking for advice or something, I'll definitely get something saying like, not yay or nay or anything like that, but you may see a scripture or something or hear something that you don't really hear that's related to you. But anyway, this particular day, Corey we're in the kitchen and we're fumbling around. And me and him, I don't know, we just talk a lot on the phone, which is really cool. It reminded me of high school. But he's talking to me, he's telling me how he's going to make my life better. And he did, just not in the way that he was, arrogantly thinking, you know what I mean? But I remember like thinking, he's an ass, not an ass, but like he's not, I don't know, he's mean or something, you know what I'm saying? Like he's being cocky and he's mean, and I don't know about this. So I was thinking to myself, I'm about to hang up the phone. I'm about to hang up and either talk to him later, or I think I'm just gonna like let this be a friendship or whatever. Like, just whatever, date him and see what happens, but like not really. I was telling God I'm about to hang up, basically, and let this be. And a voice came across and said, stick with him. And I automatically said, no, he's mean. Like, I don't even know, like in my head, like he's talking, he's still talking, Corey's doing whatever. So like, this is like all happening in my head. And it's kind of like weird, and I'm like, and I immediately, not even thinking about it, just reply like, no, he's mean. And he said, it's not going to be what you think. And that was it. And everything toned back in, and that was it. And I don't know if he meant like, I was thinking like, now looking back on it, and now like I never told him about it, like I think it made it harder for me, and like going through whatever I going through, I think I pushed him away more because God came and spoke to me about him. Like, oh my God, God been a person to be mean and not supportive. Like, I don't know. So I guess it's what he meant by it's not gonna be what you think it's gonna be, But now we're not together, as you know, like I lost everything, including him, and which brings me into the other thing I want to talk to you about, and I think we'll end out with that one. But yeah, that, like, I spoke to you about it and you were telling me how that was so powerful. And it was so funny because when I told you about it, you said, you got his number? I was like, no, I can't call him. He hate me. You got to call me. But it's funny. But yeah, that's like the only time that God, I don't know, like he may have spoke to me before. Oh, last night, well, he didn't speak to me, but it's so weird. I was, yesterday was 11/11, and I'm sitting across the street with my friends and them across the street like we normally do, and they're talking or whatever. So I kind of zone out and I'm just looking around, just looking, because it's like a beautiful night. It's warm. It was warm. It was like 70 degrees outside last night, but it was raining. So how about I look across? Oh, I wish I could show you it to my phone. I look across and through the trees, it's a heart.
Oh.
I never noticed before. And then I look again and it's like a bunch of hearts. And then it's like two birds. I don't know if I see this. I don't know. I'm an artist. I don't know if I just, but it was weird. And then guess who else initials was in the thing?
Who?
I don't know. It was two initials in the thing. I don't know what it means. I didn't really tell her. So it was K. And then I don't know if it was a heart or it was I don't know if it's a love sign for her, so I don't want to, Did you get the letter?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And I love it when the Lord shows up and does stuff like that. I think I told you when we talked before how, and that was him, by the way. That was the Lord speaking to you. And so he speaks to us in subtle ways. We don't always hear an audible voice, very seldom. We don't always hear it that way, but he'll let us know because you get this peace, this calmness that you get when he speaks. So, and I'm pretty sure even though you were in that trance, Paul calls it a trance, you were in that trance, just you and God at that moment. The world was gone and there was just you and God. So yeah, he was speaking to you. And I want to go back to what you said. I said, did you still have his number? Because sometimes, now God's not going to hold the fact that you didn't hold on against you, because he's so merciful. He's a good
You
God.
think? I hope not. Oh my God. But I try to pray now and say, it's okay. Because, I listened, it was this saying, you can finish, don't forget your thought. I was watching this movie the other day, and like you said, it'd be like weird stuff. And in the movie, she kept saying, I rather for it have had to happen for me to never remember it. It was a cool saying. It was like something like it was pretty much saying I'd rather have the memory of it happening than for it to never happen at all. I'd rather for it had to happen for me not to. I'd rather to miss that it happened than it not happen at all, or something like that. It was saying like like don't miss that it's gone because it was a good moment, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like remember the goodness in it or whatever. Like so, but yeah. But go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
I forgot. What was that?
You were telling me how when I said do you have his number, and you were like, God is not gonna punish me.
Oh yeah, he's not
for not listening.
For not listening.
For not listening.
We don't know what that really meant. When he said it's not what you think. Maybe it's not what you think. Maybe he was saying, yeah, he's not me, but it's not what you think. Maybe you're thinking, oh, well, I'm done with this. I'm leaving. And he's saying it's not what you think. Or maybe he was saying because you were so into this guy, it's not what you think. So either way, you got to pray and ask God to,
But why would he tell me to stick with them?
well, I don't know. You got to ask God and he will answer.
I think it's one of the two things. Just because I know him, and it wasn't what I thought. I thought like we were so cool together. There was nothing that can really like, it was nothing that was wrong with us. Like we got along great. We were cool together, like perfect little couple, both power people, both at a point in our lives where we're kind of starting over. Our story was kind of the same, where we both had kids like earlier and we only had one, so we're able to start a new family together. Like he was in real estate, which, I was getting into real estate at the time, and he was starting a new company. I was starting over new. So it was kind of like divine timing. I just didn't understand why God always make things a little difficult for me. He don't just send the husband, he'll send the husband and the Corey gets sick and then, or it's always a difficult thing. You know what I'm saying? So I was thinking he was either saying one or two things. Either it's not what I think, whereas I'm thinking it's going to be this fairy tale that we're going to run off into the sunset and we're not going to have a difficult time. Or it's not what I think like right now, how I think it's over and done, but that person may be for me. You know what I'm saying? Like God may be saying, all right, sent your husband. Like I told you, I went to try to get a reading, a psychic reading, and how God kind of wouldn't let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. Like it was kind of already saying, like, I already gave you your answers. Like, didn't I already tell you what I said? Like, I don't care what that lady said, And it was funny. It was kind of like everything she spoke, I was like, that's not me. Like, if she was saying like how I'm so closed off and I'm like, no, lady, you know what I've been through? Like, no, I am so open right now to love and everything. Like, no, some things you're saying are cool, but the journey I just went through, you looking at a completely, totally different person. So not completely different. You have my moments and things of that nature, India can be right there, but yeah, I think that all this is important in this conversation and kind of knowing and putting it out there for the first time, because even though we're going to come back around to all of this, I think, and have these conversations again. And I know it was a lot to kind of handle in like the first session. And I'm glad it kind of went so well. I didn't think that, I don't know, like, I guess because I'm talking to you and it's kind of like us just talking on the phone or something like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was a little bit easier for me to get into dialect or whatever. But I'm not going to hold you too much longer. And of course, I'm going to try to edit this and like do whatever. And of course, put your amazing cooking in the front. And like I said, I hope you come back and have more conversations with me and things of that nature. And I did kind of want to end with this though. Thank you for telling me that God is not going to punish me. And if I have the opportunity to get it right, I think that I'm so about doing that, And this journey that we're recording for the world, I hope that it helps. I really do. I hope that people see that it's okay to be perfectly imperfect. I hope that people see that being perfect never taught you anything. I hope that people see that there are real women out here, like beyond what's being said on TV. Like we've lost people and we deal with a lot of loss, and like my brothers are gangbangers, and you know what I'm saying? Like it's like, we grew up in like this whole world, and I want to do it for us, for the ones that had it a little bit harder, It's okay to talk about the surface stuff, but the deep stuff that no one talks about, that's what I want to do it. Oh, and then I think you also, the other day you told me you were proud of me. And at one point I kind of questioned that, because you would talk about all of us, and you would definitely put me in the mix with all the rest of the kids. And I'll be thinking to myself, no, like I am going to be, I don't know, but I can't tell you what God put in my heart, but I'm going to show you. And so I hope that in doing this, I've been talking about doing this podcast and having this conversation. And I think it took a minute for me to kind of get the confidence and to just do it. But I want to, relaunch the boutique and going through this journey. Like I said, a lot of people, they don't talk about the different phases of the journey, the triggers, and how you go through therapy and now you have to deal with all these triggers. And I was telling you how like I said, like I get attacked all the time, like at work and things of that. I think because just how I look and how I was always kicked back, but that's who we are. We're from San Diego. Everybody's kicked back in San Diego. We hard, but shit, ain't nobody tripping. What are we getting a rush for? We going to the beach. Life is hard, but life ain't hard out there at the same time. It's like really pretty, and I don't know. So I think where a lot of us are kicked back, but I'm in a whole totally different state. So they don't see that. And I think because I'm alone, they don't see this huge family that I have. So I thought it was like really important for me not to only tell my story, but for them to tell theirs, because their stories are amazing and what they've been through and their journeys and how they've come and how you supported them through all of it. And I think it's really important for you to tell your story. And I've been telling you that for years and giving you stuff to record, and you never have. So me pulling you out here to finally get the job done so that we can help so many more amazing people, because it's so much bigger than us.
Yes, it is. And I thank you for including me on your journey and for having me here today. And I will definitely be back, and I'll be watching your podcast. And I'm really praying that God will lead you and guide you in the right way. And I know He will, because His grace is in your life. It's on your life.
Yeah.
He would
Thank
not
you, Mama. I love you. I definitely wanted to end with two things. I wanted to ask you, like, going through that and then seeing it wasn't really, I don't know, going through that and then, watching my brother now. And, I want to, like, how are you dealing with everything, and how do you feel about me and my journey and how far I've come? And like, do you still worry as much as you do about me at night, or are you eased a little bit more seeing me grow to a better person? Like, tell us a little bit from the mother's perspective.
Well, yes, I still worry about you. As a matter of fact, this morning at 6:30, I was praying about you. I have a regular routine, 7:14 in the morning, 7:14 at night, and 8 o'clock at night are my prayer times. And then all through the day, but those are particular times that I dedicate to my children, the grandchildren and great-grandchildren. 7:14 for this coronavirus and all the things that's going on in the world, for addiction, for deliverance. And my prayer this morning was, for you, you have been delivered, you have been set free. And in Jesus' name, and I know that to be true for your brothers as well. You're healed, delivered, and set free in the holy name of Jesus. And I speak this by the authority invested in me by Jesus Christ. And so when I'm praying for you, yes, I'm concerned, but I'm not worried anymore. And I think I told you that the other day. I'm not worried about you. There was panic nights. There was nights when I couldn't sleep, when I would hear you calling me, literally calling out to me. I heard your voice calling. And it's horrifying to hear you call in the middle of the night and I can't be there. And all I can do is lay there and pray. Not that prayer is not enough, it's always enough. But that I couldn't, it was just your voice crying out to me and I couldn't answer. and I couldn't answer. But I thank God that that you've grown to the point. I'll always worry. Oh, I take that back. I won't worry. I'll always be concerned because I'm a mother and because my children are troubled. And so I'll always be that. But I don't think it's not the terror of night anymore. And that's a good place, for me. Um, I can go to sleep at night, and I don't wake up with the cold sweats and all that. So what's happening? I'm not horrified for Corey. I'm at a good place with that. And I just thank God for that. And so, yes, I am proud of you, very proud of you. I love your journey. I love that. I'm sorry you had to go through it, but you had to go through it so you could come through it, if that makes sense. You had to. And now,
and it was a time when I was going through it that I couldn't even accept that. The therapist asked me, what was I proud of myself about? And I just shook my head like, nothing. I couldn't even hear that people were proud of me or wanted to love me. I couldn't, just wasn't, I was too overwhelmed. It wasn't getting in. I am about to let you go, but I was talking to you the other day, and this is another conversation I want to have with you later. Like, my longtime friend got a little bit upset at me because I was telling her, I think I said it wrong, like I wasn't trying to say like, don't put God first or anything. What I was trying to say is that when you're so overwhelmed and you've gone through so much and you're turning spiritually, but God put people in this earth like therapists and things of that nature. Spiritual can only take you so far. I think that if you want to heal overall, you need to do all of the work. Going spiritual is fine, which we'll have that conversation though, because I know you're a pastor, so I know this probably. But like, my brother went spiritual, but he needs to go inner. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, I'm not saying that, like, of course, like, it's okay for me to go very spiritual now, but I wouldn't able to, you know what I mean? Like, stuff wouldn't sit. Stuff sits a lot better now that I'm able to absorb it. You know what I mean? Like, when I was so afraid, and so these things, even God speaking to me wasn't getting in. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think she got upset at me. And I know it's a conversation that we'll have later, but I just want people to know that God is amazing, but he put people like me, like, like therapists, like you, like pastors, and, like other people, because sometimes you need to let it go so that you can receive it, basically.
Yeah. Yes. Very well said. Very well said.
Yeah. And then the last thing we're going to end with, we were having a conversation about generational curses and things of this nature. And when I called you crying about the people attacking me and all of that, and how I had went through so much, and how it was triggering me, and how I didn't want to go backwards, but how that, I had a moment or two or whatever. And I was telling you that, I was like, it's okay. Like, I didn't listen to God, and it's cool, if like things don't happen a certain way or whatever. And you were saying, no, that was a part of things that we have gone through in the past, and it didn't just start with me, And so I think it's important too I think it's important to let people know that we're going to touch on a lot of different bases, not just, it wasn't just all mental health. Like, me and Corey want to sit down and do, the next thing we'll probably do is like a vision board. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to start your life over, the good thing to do is put it on paper. So me and Corey probably sit down live and do that. I think, unless you want to say her name on TV. But yeah, so I did want you to talk a little bit about the generational curses and like kind of say what you spoke over my life, and then I'll kind of let you in with that and just thank you for everything.
Well, there are generational curses, and it's been just very recent that I recognize. Well, actually, Belinda, bless her heart, she's gone now. Talked to me about this book. It's called Pigs in the Parlor, and I got the book and I read it, and it's all about generational curses and how one generation can be affected by one thing, and then it skip a generation, and the next generation, stuff like that. And so I recognize in that my family had a generational curse. And I've been trying to go back to see where it started from. As far as I can go back, it's my dad. But I can definitely see where it has come from him. Then in talking to other relatives, they can go back a little further than my dad on my mom's side. My grandmother actually died when my mother was 4 years old. Um, but I think there was some, well, she died from pneumonia. She, but anyway, that's a whole different story. We'll talk about that later. But the generational curses are real. And to break them, there has to be a point that we realize that there's a curse in our lives. And I'll tell you this curse that this lady spoke on me when I could not have been more than 10 years old. And it's something that I didn't think about. You know, you're 10, 11 years old, you're walking down the street. Yeah. And I was walking down the street and I was coming. We had this good friend, his name was Mr. Davis, at a barber shop, and he would cut my brother's hair and we would go hang out at the barber shop. I was leaving his house and I was headed home. And this old lady, for some reason, I have no earthly idea, spoke a curse on me. I didn't recognize it. She looked at me and she's on one side of the street, I'm on another side of the street. And I'm a little girl. And she looks at me and she says, "You're gonna always have problems with me."
She said you always have problems with men.
Yeah, I'm a little girl, 10 or 11 years old. I'd never thought about it anymore. I just looked at her. I went home and told my mom, and my mom wanted to go look her up and beat her up and all this. But the thing of it is, that curse, that was a curse that she had put on me.
She sounded like she was she sounded like she was yucky.
So I would, you know, I'm a girl, so I don't know how old she was, but she was an old lady. So why would she curse a child? So, but that's what she did. So now that I recognize that, now I know how to deal with it. So now that has come back up into my spirit. And when I'm going through this soul searching, I can trace that back to that day, that bright sunny afternoon in the summertime, where this old lady that I didn't even know me,
yeah,
cursed a child. But I lived under that curse until Belinda gave me that book, Pigs in the Parlor, How to Break Generational Curses. So that's what came to mind. And so, and that's the curse I was telling you that we have to pray off of you and the other females in the family, because she literally cursed me.
Yeah.
With that evil curse.
Well, I feel like, you kind of broke it. I mean, I know a lot of the women in our family aren't, but I pray about it now too, and marriage 2021 for me, I don't know. I just try to speak it, but I just try not to say it anymore, because it's weird, because people there's different beliefs. Some people speak it out loud often so you'll get it done. Some people say speak it and let it go so that you can receive it. So I don't know.
Well, I believe in putting it in the atmosphere. I believe in speaking it into the atmosphere. I believe in calling those things that are not as though they were. Yeah. So you're saying marriage 2021 for me, it's in your heart, it's in your mind. And that's where truth is. That's how it comes out. So we have to say it, we have to believe it to receive it.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that. Speak it in that.
Well, and I think they say sometimes you have to I was listening to T.D. Jakes and he was saying sometimes it wasn't the people, were you trying to fit into this small box, like you're too great, you know what I mean? Like where you're trying to go, people can't see. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you trying to fit into their little small box when they can't even see your big box or whatever, like, but it's, yeah, yeah. I think it's so important to, I don't know, I be confused on like some of the stuff because it's kind of like whose belief, you know what I mean? Like some people believe keeping it quiet manifests it a little bit more. Some people believe speaking into existence. Abraham Hicks says, speak it into existence, but talk about it in a roundabout way so that you're not always speaking on it because you don't want your vibrational energy to go down behind it. I don't know. So I guess it just depends on.
Well, let me leave with this. Mark, the 11th chapter, the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th verse says, have faith in God. That's the 22nd verse. Whoever should say to this mountain, we're talking about speak, whoever should say to this mountain, be thou removed and be thou cast in the sea, and should have no doubt. The Bible says they should have whatever they say. And when you say it and you believe it and you pray on it, you should have whatever you say. And it says, if you have aught against any, so that your Father who are in heaven will forgive you, then you must forgive. So if you want the things that you say to come into existence, you got to have that faith in God. I learned a long time ago that I couldn't say a lot of stuff out of my mouth because it's almost like if I say it, it's going to happen. So I have to learn how to bridle my tongue. And I work on that all the time. But I'm like you, the Bible says, speak it. God spoke the world into existence.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So he wants us to speak, but we have to be wise. We can't be like Joseph, who God gave him the vision to let him know that he was going to be this great man one day. But he told his brothers who was against him. So they got this envy and they really hated him for his vision. But the vision still came true. It's just that it took him longer. So be careful what you say and who you say it to, but you always speak it. You don't have to speak it like I'm in the office by myself. I can speak whatever I want to say. And I'm still speaking it into existence. But I'm not offending anyone. You know, when I'm up in the morning.
I kind of see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of answers like, well, I don't know if it answers my question because I was thinking to myself, Corey brought up a very good point the other day, and I don't want her to stray because of it, because she was saying, if God already knows your path, why would he dim you to, you know what I'm saying? If he chose that path for you, or if he created this path for you, why would you be dim for the path? And I was like, you're right about that. So, that was another thing that man could have put in there to, but it's kind of like there are some things that are contradicting. But
let me answer that question for her before you leave. Because he gave us freedom of choice. He gave us choices.
Yeah.
Remember when Adam and Eve was in the garden, and I'm not gonna preach, but when they were in the garden, and he told them, you can freely have any fruit in this garden, except I don't want you to eat off this one tree. So they made
except what?
He didn't want them to eat from this one particular tree, the tree of good and evil. He didn't want he didn't want them to do that. So when they did that, they made a conscious choice. They made a conscious decision. So that's what we do. We make conscious decisions to do things. We make conscious decisions to believe what we want to believe. Well, if God's so good, why would he allow this? But what did he do to cause it? We can walk in the will of God, or we can walk outside of the will of God. He's still God. He still loves us. He's going to always forgive us because he's a forgiving, loving God. So the choices that we made, and I told September that this morning, the choices that we make is what get us where we are. And we have a free will to make those choices, because when God breathed the breath of life into us, he gave us that choice of free will.
Yeah.
And now we can choose to walk in his free will, or we can choose not to. So usually when we're walking out of the will of God, it's when these problems come on us. Now, I'm not saying that when you're in the will of God, things not going to happen because life is not easy. But if we never went through it, we'd never know that he could solve it.
Yeah. But you see how stuff can kind of be contradicting? Because then I heard Joel Osteen say there was a whore or whatever, and that's how she lived her life. But when she went to wash God's feet, he didn't judge her. Taking one step towards God, he said, you're cleansed of all your sins.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, but I get where she's coming from, because it's kind of like, even if he gave you you're saying if he gave you the choice, you gave you the free will of choice, but he still knows your path and he knew you're going to make that bad choice, why still condemn you?
But
And
see,
it's kind of true.
we condemn ourselves. All he asks us to do is ask him. When we fall, ask him to forgive us and get up. And then he's faithful to throw it in the sea of forgetfulness. He's not going to remember. But you know what happens is we remember. So we keep bringing it up when actually it's over and done with. But we don't let it die.
Yeah.
So and so that's and I can see where you said the contradiction. But now as you think about when she washed Jesus' feet, in those days it was customary because remember they didn't have shoes and socks and stuff like we did. They had sandals, and it was a dusty time. So, and that was customary. But she did it in preparation for his burial, for his crucifixion. So he
Oh,
had,
I think he was talking about another story, but he was just saying, oh, it could have been though. I'm not sure. It was just in one of his sermons, and I probably only got the 30 minutes I listened to on YouTube.
yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Mama.
Well, you're most certainly welcome. Thank you for having
Oh, and the generational curse that you said we're breaking is that the women in our family will have an abundance of, we will be married also. It won't just be the men in our family that are married. We will have that family and also able to grow and prosper with our men and stay in there and stick in there.
Yes.
Which I think is really cool, because that's what I'm, knowing is going to happen for me, because I'm so able to make it happen. But I'm hoping with this blog and this conversation, it reaches certain people, and I'm hoping that people will come, and it won't just be a conversation. Like today was a conversation because I kind of just wanted it to kick it off, and my mom is not here and we're still trying to figure everything out, but you're going to pull us up on us. We're going to be in the kitchen. We're going to talk about these reality shows. We're going to talk about the dream work that Tamar just did. Like we're going to put all these things into having fun and having this fun conversation. I just wanted to put out there on a serious note and kind of open up the conversation this way, because I thought it was really important for my mom to be my first guest, and she's not able to be here. And also, I kind of just wanted to frame and structure it, let people know that it's going to be a serious conversation, and we're going to talk about very important things, but it won't be like, it's going to be controversial. I'm going to bring people out here. I'm like, why you do that to me? No, I'm kidding. Why you do that, mama? No. But I'm just saying, we're gonna have fun, and it is gonna be light, and we're always gonna be cooking. So foodies, join us. Younger people, old people, people of the community. There's so many people that people don't know their stories, and there's so many good role models out here, and we want to bring everyone to the table. And we have all these questions. Joe Osteen, all my friends who have gone through all these. My friends, I've been going to my friends, got all these advice, Tyler Perry, and all these people. We need answers. We got questions. I don't know. They may not want to answer my question. They're gonna be like, Lord, I gonna write a whole new sermon. But Yeah, Mama, thank you so much. And I hope it wasn't overwhelming for the first time. And I know this has to get edited and things of that nature, but I kind of felt like it was a cool conversation. I kind of just let it ride the way that it happened. I definitely want to edit your cooking into it and things of that nature. So I think I have it where we're going to do it maybe twice a month right now, but I guess we'll see.
Okay.
I mean, I'm planning on opening the boutique on Corey's birthday. I figured rebirth, and since everything is coming new, and we pretty much have given ourselves 1 year for everything to be different and to pretty much, let's see where we go and let's take this journey and let's help other people. And I hope people will join in and come get, I'm not going to say it's help. I'm not going to say it's anything. I'm just going to say it's a conversation. And I hope that people will join the conversation, and I hope that it helps. And I hope that people that are, hold on, hold on. One more day, people don't have to pick up that gun. You're not alone, you know.
Hold on.
We have a whole community that we have to help, and that there's a lot on my heart, and I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I didn't know how I was going to get here. But I told God that we would at the beginning of the year, and it's happening. So
Yes.
I hope that we already got the family consent. We know they who's the favorite.
Well, I'm sure that'll be on here a lot.
But yeah, I thank you, Mama. I thank you. I thank you on so many levels. I thank you for being my mother. I know that there's so many wonderful stories that people would love to hear from you, and that, yeah, let's see where we are 1 year from now. It won't even be 1 year, more like 11 months.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, again, I think
Right there.
it will happen. It will happen.
I don't know, but I'm excited, and I'm excited to relaunch. And definitely your Bible study on Sunday. Church on Sunday, Bible study on Fridays at 7:30.
7.
And we'll put a link so that you guys can tune into that. And yeah. Thank you, Mama.
You're
Is
welcome.
there anything that you want to say before we leave?
Well, I want to thank you again for having me as your guest, and I want to thank you for this journey that you're going on. And I want to encourage you to keep it going. Don't give up, keep it going, because there is a vision there, and you have to walk in your vision. You have to walk in your calling. And who knows, this might be your calling.
And I'm going to tell you, I give up every other week, but my daughter won't let me. And she says, I can't. And and I heard Tyler Perry say something so cool. And he said that when you are too weak, when you can't carry yourself, let your dream carry you. Let your family, you know what I mean? Let whatever you need to, but just get up the next day. Just all you do is get up the next day. Keep walking. I mean, you get up, you might as well do something.
Yes.
So, that's the way I look at it. Some days I may not want to do nothing. Some days I may be like, you know what? Not today. I'm gonna go but I'm trying to.
Let me know when you want me to start cooking. Give me a week to prepare a really good meal. And I don't know if you want to do a dish or a meal, but whatever.
Definitely. Thank you. And it'll help us to also write this recipe book that we've been trying to do. I've been trying to get you guys to do a family recipe book forever. So would you guys put in a recipe on my either blog or something every week? Guess what we can do after that?
Yes.
Put it all together and make a book. So yeah, actually there's so many great things that we're about to do. Not only me, but I'm doing this for my family and for the community. So
thank you.
I don't know. I don't know if this is going to end. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'm excited for the journey. And I thank you for taking it with me. And I thank my daughter who's over here. You want to say bye to Granny? I mean, bye. Yes. Woo. That's a conversation in itself. Yes, mommies, we need that conversation, right?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And it is going to be okay. All right.
And we will figure this set out a little bit better. I mean, it worked out. I guess we figured it out a little bit, but I'm pretty sure there's a better way we can go about doing this. Maybe my cameraman won't leave me next time.
How you moderate?
Beautiful daughter.
Love you.
Her hair all braided up. Look, she braided her hair.
Good. I was
Cool,
just
huh,
I
mama?
don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that.
But yeah, she's so funny,
Don't
mama.
forget Keelan's birthday next
When
week.
she's not being mean. She's not being mean. Oh my God. But yeah, I love you.
I love
And
you.
I'll talk to you a little bit later.
Okay.
And yeah, if you want to start thinking about the next meal, I was thinking about doing some lasagna. So maybe I'll call you.
Okay.
Oh, Corey, here. Here, Corey. That taco soup.
Yeah, taco soup. I'll do it. It's that time of year for it. Yes.
Okay, cool, mama. I love you. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay. Love you too. Love you more. Bye.
Love you, Granny.
Bye, mama.
Bye. So I'm ending the recording now.
Okay.